back around the beginning of June 1st, 2nd, I don't remember. It's one of those days. It's all on police report. Well, I was at the park and Deputy Sheriff Ivanhoff approached my car on the passenger side. All right, I got out of the driver's side of the car, and leaned over the top of the car and asked Mr. Ivanhoff if he would apologize for slandering me. I have this on audio, him slandering me. Also said I didn't have balls like him because he bought a building. I don't know. He's a strange man. Well, anyway, when I asked him to apologize, he walked around the front from the passenger side to around the front of my car to where I was standing on the driver's side, by the driver's side door, and got in my face, told me to go to hell, told me to leave the park. Then he started walking in a circle around me, and as he was walking in a circle around me, he was saying, "If you touch me, I'll have you prosecuted. I'll have you arrested." And and then his student, James Evanson, who's a black belt in Taekwondo with him, at Lone Wolf Taekwondo, he was on the passenger side too, walked from the passenger side to the front of my, around the front of my car, and he grew on to where I was standing with Ivanhoff on the driver's side, and he grabbed me and he yanked me down to the side. And then, it all pretty much ended there, Well, there was a few words said afterwards, but nobody, it was nothing. Well, anyway, he assaulted me. I know he assaulted me, but I was willing to let it go. All right, and I feel like Ivanhoff was harassing me by walking around the front of my car and getting in my face and telling me to go to hell, and then telling me to leave the park, and then walking in a circle around me, telling me if you touch me, I'll have you arrested. I just think, that was him threatening me. And that's harassment. All right, and then, you know, his student grabbing me and yanking down, that's assault. But I was just let it go. Well, anyway, the next day, a police officer shows up to my house. All right. Now they got this on that. I'm not. They know the name of this police officer. Well, anyway, this police officer knocks on my door. I go to the door and I tell him, "What can I do for you?" And he tells me that Ivanhoff, James Evanson, and Seth Partheimer, I can't say his name very well, but these three men pressed charges against me. And I said, "Charges for what?" And which he said, for inciting violence. Well, there's no such law as inciting violence, so he lied to me, and he made up. These men had pressed charges. He had no charges against me. He had no right to knock on my door. Well, anyway, so I told him what happened. That Ivanhoff was on the passenger side of my car. He walked around the front of my car when I asked him to apologize for him slandering me, and got in my face, told me to go to hell, then walked in a circle around me, telling me if you touch me, I'll have you, arrested. And I also he told me to leave the park, um, and I told him that James Everson had walked around my car too, He was on the passenger side, and he grabbed me and yanked me to the side, and I told him that's assault and I want to press charges. And then he asked me if I had proof that Ivanhoff had slandered me, and I told him, yeah, I have audio of him doing it. You can hear him slandering me, so, But I think he was turning his audio on and off, or video, whatever he had, because there's a red light that comes on. And I noticed when I first went out the door, there was a red light on, but there were times when that red light would go off, so I think he was turning it off and on when he wanted to. And then he tried to lead me into saying something, and well, next thing I know, I'm being charged with breach of peace. I was assaulted. I was approached. I was intimidated. Mr. Ivanhoff tried to intimidate me by walking around my car, getting in my face and telling me to go to hell and leave, and then walking in a circle around me and saying, if you touch me, I'll have you prosecuted or arrested. And, so I know that's harassment. You can't do that. And but they next thing I know, I have charges. I have pending charges for breach of peace. I was assaulted, and they get me for breach of peace. I was approached by Ivanhoff. Also, Ivanhoff assaulted one of his students. And there is audio of him admitting it. And also an eyewitness, And for some reason, that's not enough to press charges against Deputy Sheriff Ivanhoff. An eyewitness of him assaulting his student, and Ivanhoff also admitting it on an audio. And that's not enough for the police to... They say they turn the case in to the prosecuting attorney, I called the prosecutor and asked him how long it would take for them to decide, if they were going to press charges against James Everson for assault or Chris Ivanhoff for assault. And first time they told me it'd only take 2 weeks. Next time I called him, because it'd been about a month and a half, he tells me that it can be indefinite. And then they also tell me that I don't have the right to press charges against a man who assaulted me. That they get to make the choice, not me. Well, it just shows how crooked the system is here. I was assaulted. I was the one approached. They approached me. All right? They walked around the car to me. And I get assaulted, get told to go to hell, get threatened with arrest, all because I asked the man to apologize for something he knows I have audio of him saying. And then they also know he assaulted. They got enough evidence to charge that man, Chris Ivanhoff, but they won't do it. It just shows you, don't trust the police here in Powell. And attorneys, the prosecuting attorneys, they all work together. They protect they call it protecting. They scheme and lie and hide for their officers that assault people and slander people. Right. They're also protecting James Everson because he's a friend of Deputy Sheriff Ivan Hoff. He's a student in Taekwondo, which Lone Wolf Taekwondo. I just don't know what else to say except it's crazy. It's a madhouse. It's evil. It's I never thought that I would be assaulted and then I would be charged with breach of peace. And I never thought that the police would cover here in Powell. I thought we had. Well, no, they've done some pretty bad things to me here in Powell. I had one police officer show up to my door once and wanted me to sign a document. He didn't tell me what I was supposed to sign, what I was signing, or why I was signing it. He puts puts the paper up on my wall, and puts a pin up, and tells me to sign right here. And I tell him I'm not signing nothing. You need to get off my property. I never found out what that, but I can tell you who that police officer is because he's the one that gave my son the ticket. Gave my son a ticket, and then yeah, I don't want to get into all the, but there's a couple more ones. They hide them. They're not good. Don't trust the police here in Powell.